Hey guys, it's Lizzie. So I'm finally filming in my new senior year dorm room and I've been so busy. It's crazy how much reading and studying I've had to do, but I'm actually really happy because I kind of had an identity. I don't want to use the word crisis because that kind of sounds dramatic, but the past few months I've just been kind of wondering about my identity because I've gotten really close to some friends in the past 2 years who have changed me a lot, and I don't think change needs to be good or bad. I think just change in general and who you are. And I was just thinking about that a lot coming back to school, and a lot of things have happened recently that have made me just feel really grounded and secure in who I am and confident in that. But one of the things was there were 2 days on Wednesday and Thursday where I was studying for probably 8 or 10 hours straight. And one day I was researching for this religion paper and just spending so much time in the library, like getting books, like reading through them, outlining, writing, and it just made me feel so, I don't know, centered, because I'm so passionate about academia and researching and knowledge, and I'm so curious about all of that, and I love writing and researching, and so all of that just made me really, really happy. And I kind of just wanted to share that because I have not sat down and filmed a YouTube video in a couple months, and I've been very absent from my channel, and that's just because I've been going through a lot of changes. And this summer so much happened that made me realize that for the past few years I've been not focused on loving myself and taking care of myself, and that led to a lot of bad outcomes that I'm trying to prevent going forward. And one of the things that I realized is that I shouldn't make decisions just to make other people happy, that sometimes I need to say no to people and disappoint people if it's something that I need to do for me. And so that's why my YouTube channel going forward, it isn't going to be on a schedule. It isn't going to be like, oh, every week I'm going to upload a video. It's going to be more like, oh, I have time to film a video this week. It's not going to be on a schedule for the first time in years, and if I don't upload a video for a month, it's probably because I'm spending a ton of time with my friends, a ton of time studying, and a ton of time just like alone time with God. I'm gonna make a video in probably next week or something, just talking about my major depression and that whole thing, and it's gonna be really, I don't know, it's something that I've been procrastinating on filming just because it's scary talking about that and remembering it because it's just awful and I don't want to think about it. But that's a huge part of this too, just the fact that I have to take care of myself and stay healthy or I'll be ineffective at every area of my life. And I also feel like my YouTube channel goes through these, I don't really know how to describe it, but like rhythms and inspiration, where sometimes I feel like I'll work so hard for like months on it and then almost feel like over it because it's like you get overworked. And so not putting a schedule on myself just allows me to have more artistic freedom to not feel forced into doing anything, because when I feel forced to do things, I just don't like it anymore. Today I actually wanted to talk about emotional invalidation, which I know you bring up so much, but I actually haven't made a whole video about it in probably a year and a half. So I have a story to share that's actually going to be linked with an article I wrote on my website, so I'll link that below, so you should go read that too, because that'll kind of like relate to what I'm saying in this video even more. So over summer, one of my friends got this kind of like face infection or reaction, I don't know, something happened, he was allergic to it, so his face really hurt. From my perspective, it didn't look that bad. Like, his face didn't look really red, he didn't look in pain. I thought he was just overreacting and being dramatic. And so I told him that. I'm like, okay, like, calm down, your face is okay, it's fine. And then later, he ended up going to the hospital the next day. He had a virus, and I felt awful because I made this comment like, calm down, like, don't worry about it, you're fine, you're overreacting, and I completely diminished his pain by assuming that I knew what was going on from my outside perspective, whereas he was feeling what his face actually felt like. That reminds me that even though I work so hard on not diminishing other people's emotional experiences, and even though I have been hurt so much by people acting like mine aren't real, it just shows me that I still have the ability to mess up so much in how I'm treating other people and making them feel. Something about emotions is that they are real. Whether or not you think someone's emotion is the normal emotion to have, or whether or not you think it's a good emotion, the fact is that they're feeling something, and we cannot control what we feel. We can control how we react to how we feel. So, you know, if I feel really happy, I feel the happiness and I might be smiling, but then I don't necessarily have to start dancing. Like, that's my choice, that's how I'm reacting to the emotion. And then another example is if you're really angry at someone, your face might be angry, you might feel angry inside, but that doesn't mean you need to yell at someone or say hurtful words or punch them. And so while a lot of times we can blame people or think people are crazy for feeling certain things, the only thing we should be reacting to with words is their reaction to their emotion. The reason that I think that we invalidate so much and that it's so common is because of pride. We think that we know what's going on. If you've ever heard a friend tell you that they're having some sort of problem, what I see so much in myself and in other people is we'll immediately start giving advice and being like, you should do this, I think this. Like, we think we know the right answers before we've even heard about the problem. And I think that a lot of times before we start giving advice, we should just listen, ask questions, and try to understand first. And I'm even against giving advice in a lot of situations because I think sometimes it's better for someone to arrive at a conclusion on their own with their own thinking rather than just putting the answer like in their brain for them. Like, they can get there on their own, and I think that you're helping them more and it's going to stick more, the advice that you want to give them, if you allow them to do their own thinking, come to it on their own, and you just kind of guide their thinking by asking questions and helping them understand it more. The times that I've been hurt the most by people in my life have been when I've really been dealing with something, and instead of trying to understand it, they think they understand it and are like, oh, you should do this, you feel this, and kind of like telling you how you feel or trying to give advice without understanding. And I think that what it is pride. We are so prideful that we think we know what's going on, we think we know what people are feeling, and we really don't. And so I think that we should strive to understand before giving advice. And so now when I give emotional support, my focus is not on giving the perfect advice or saying words that are encouraging. I think there's definitely a place for that, but I think that foremost, when we're helping other people, we need to listen, ask questions, make them feel understood, and help them like process it and just be with them as they're processing it. So I think that this comes up in just normal situations when someone is saying, oh, I'm happy, oh, I'm scared. But I think it also comes up when someone is hurting from something, dealing with something, and we think that we understand it. That's just very emotionally invalidating. I think that it's also really prideful to assume that the way we think about an emotion, like the normality of an emotion, is the right way to think about it. Like, we think, oh, you're too angry right now, or you're too scared right now, or you're too happy right now. It's like, who are you to make like the standard for what a normal emotional experience is? It's just really messed up. And something else about emotions that's really important is that everyone's past emotional experiences are coming in and affecting how they're feeling right now. So an example of this is something traumatic kind of happened at my church recently, where someone stood up in the middle of service and started talking about how women shouldn't be speaking or leading or participating in the service at our church because there's verses in the New Testament where Paul is talking about at a specific church that women shouldn't be speaking because they're being disruptive. So, you know, if you read it out of context, you could come to the conclusion that women shouldn't be participating in the service at all. After this guy interrupted service and spoke, I started crying, and it was something that affected me for the rest of the day. Like, I just could not focus on studying or talking to people, like, until I worked out for 2 hours. Like, after that, I felt okay, but before that, I was just distracted. I felt so powerless and diminished, and I felt awful, and it was because of past experiences in churches where I haven't been allowed to lead or participate, where I felt like I wasn't valued. And so, you know, there were other people crying, but it wasn't everyone crying effective for the rest of the day. So my emotion, it was because of past experiences. And so if someone in the moment, my friends were very validating of my emotions at the time, but if someone had said like, why are you overreacting? It wasn't that big of a deal. That would be emotionally invalidating because they're assuming that they understand my past experiences, and they're also kind of pushing away my identity. And I think that's why it's so hurtful, because I think emotions are intertwined to our identity. Like, the way you emotionally experience the world, it's true for you, and it's intertwined with like who you are. Like, I'm very extreme with my emotions. Like, I feel things so strongly, and for someone to say that's wrong, like, no, that's true. Like, I feel things strongly. And so I think that we will have such a healthier world, so many healthier relationships, if we seek to understand people's emotions rather than judging them immediately. And I think that by trying to give advice, that's judging it immediately. In a sense, it's judging. And so instead of judging, giving advice, giving critique, thinking we understand a situation, stop, ask questions, and try to understand first before doing anything else. So that is my take on emotional validation and how to stop invalidating and just make your friends feel more loved and understood. So I hope that this video resonated with you and that you understood what I was talking about, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye!